Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horror review. Right, this was an interesting one. Just randomly picked it out, thought I'd give it a go, and yeah, it's not the worst movie in the world. How about so we're talking about the cherry tree. I'll say this: you get a lot of witchy movies, and they're horrible. They're cheesy. They're childlike. They're just wishy-washy. At least this one has the stones to go hardcore with it. This will annoy a lot of sort of Wiccan white lighters who, oh, blessed be it, all that stuff. This is, dark witchcraft. But the story revolves around the main protagonist is a little girl called Faith. She's in high school. Now, the first sort of 10 minutes of this movie does all the high school mean girl thing, which is a bit boring. It takes me a minute to get into it. But first 10 minutes, she's doing sports, training for the hockey team. Girls are giving her a hard time. She sort of fights back, but doesn't. But the main part of the story is she goes. Her father Sean, he runs a restaurant. So when she goes to see him, he's being sick in the bathroom, and that's kind of the first introduction. So they haven't found out he's got leukemia. He's fighting it, and this is kind of the whole central part of the story. He was in remission. That's kind of it. So he's been through a hard time. I don't know where the mother is in this. It didn't really lay that out, but it's not really essential for the plot, to be honest. So there's either an ex-wife or she's passed on or something, but it'd be a bit silly if she'd passed on and he's sick as well, but contrived. So there's an ex-wife out there, but she not really focused on this. This is the relationship between father and daughter. She was actually a decent character. I think the clothing ruined her a bit. They made her out to be some sort of I think it was with a leather jacket. She's going around everywhere on a bicycle, but they've got her in like a leather jacket, doing sort of the rock tech thing, which she's got the nose ring and the leather jacket, very contrived and I don't know, basic, which is a bit annoying because she's actually an interesting character. The actress that plays her, is actually pretty decent. I will say this about the movie: it's a lot of decent actors. In fairness, it's not a high budget movie. It's portrayed more as a drama than horror. Now, there's definitely the horror elements in it. Now, it is a horror movie, but for the most part, it's played out as a drama, which, back to what we've talked about in this channel ad nauseum, horror is a sprinkling. You need a story, you need character development, you need the building blocks. I suppose the same as any franchise. If you don't have decent characters, if you don't have decent interaction and story, then it doesn't matter what you throw in. You can have all the flashy, shiny lights in the world, but people aren't going to engage because, there's nothing there to grip them. So you do find yourself rooting for Faith. She's not an obnoxious character. She's cool. She's just trying to get through her high school years, and then she was all pleased that she got finally selected for the hockey team, albeit as a reserve. But still, if anyone's played sports, you'll understand there's the B team. There's people that are not even going to get a shot, and then there's the A team. And even if you're a reservist on the A team, that's part of it. You've maintained that standard. Nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, anyone that is in that as well is always striving to do better, but never knock the first chance. Yeah, if that makes sense. The play up. The reason I'm bringing this up is just to play up a lot of it. Oh, congratulations for not getting on a team. So it's done by, I suppose it's better break this down a bit because this is what kind of confused me, the messaging. So it's an Irish company and a Norwegian company have joined together to make a movie, and It seems to be set in England because of all got English accents. But the idea of, oh, well, you never made it, is very American, which is annoying. We have our own ways of taking the mick out of each other without having to go to a foreign country for it. You know what I mean? There's an absolute wealth and plethora. And look at, might sound like I'm being elitist or whatever else. Well, I don't care. But you look at 90% of the reaction channels on social media, and most of them are other countries reacting to British culture. And it seems to be everybody appreciates British culture apart from British people, which is mad. It seems to be a London-centric thing as well. I'm living in this city for a couple of years now. I kind of understand. They all want to be American. It's very, very strange. And the reason I'm bringing it because it crosses over in this movie that brings some language. Thankfully, there's enough mannerisms and character development that it's not an American movie. Because that's the most cringeworthy thing is somebody trying to be something else that they're not even remotely related to and failing. And we've seen it so many times, and it's like, stop it. Play to your strengths. If you're out desperate to be American, go be American. Or do movies in America, do it with Americans if that's what you want to do. But if you're doing a British movie, there's such a wealth of culture over here, and I don't mean just being like everyone thinks it's London, England, and that's it. You know, around the M6 or the M25. You know, that's the whole shrink wrap of UK culture. The minute what a lot of people don't understand is the minute you step outside that, there's such a variety of cultures and accents. I can't even begin to name them all because England alone, the number of cultures they have. Scotland, you've got the Highlanders, the Lowlanders. Across the pond, you've obviously got Northern Ireland, you've got the Irish Republic. But even within both, you've the West, the East. You know, it's unfair, I think, to just homogenize everything into just one basic, social media riff. But that's my rant about that. Thankfully, though, they dialed the whole Mean Girl thing back because that was getting a wee bit too American for my liking. The what do you call it? The coach, the teacher. You kind of know she's involved anyway because she is creepy as hell. But it kind of takes me a minute to get to her. We're seeing Faith's life played out, and then it's interspersed. You've got a scene with some random girls just for a night out, and then one of them gets kidnapped, and it turns out there's a coven of witches, and this is the main crux of the story. There's a coven of witches that have all remained on like ancestral land, and there's a myth or legend about a cherry tree which is granted by the Dark Lord. And I say that because the way they do it, I reject the light to embrace the dark, is a wee bit too much. It's like, God's sake, if you're going to ritualize, think of better lines. This is one complaint I have in general about horror movies when it comes to witchcraft. Their rituals are absolutely retarded. The language they use is just it just makes you cringe. Come up with something clever. The cleverest thing I have seen on film in terms of witchcraft and summoning is the Evil Dead series. And I know you're sort of going, Colin, what are you on about? And I don't mean the hamminess, the cheesiness, the action. I mean the actual Necronomicon itself and the ritualistic words that are spoken. It is done so well and so succinct that it has impact. Every single witchcraft And even God, what was it called? The Craft. Like that is the quintessential movie of the 2000s, or was it late 90s? Late 90s, 2000s anyway. Even the language they used during the ritual was a bit pathetic. And let's not talk about the sequel. Oh, still there. Sorry about that. My computer did something very strange. Okay, let's carry on. Hopefully, yeah, we're still streaming. Yeah, I don't know. Screens just went blank. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? So anyway, we've got this. We've got Sean. He owns a restaurant. He's a head chef, and so for all intents and purposes, they're doing well for themselves. Father and daughter have a great relationship, which makes it decent because at least you believe it. He gets the news then that his leukemia has come back. So the chemotherapy and that just didn't work. Came back. And the reason Faith finds out, gets an inkling of it because he wants to protect his daughter, which is fair enough, be hiding it from her, is that he actually turns up to their hockey game. And she's kind of like, what are you doing here? That scene was a bit weird because I don't know, if you've played sports, if you're in the zone and you're playing, you don't know who's in the crowd because you're just like, maybe it's a rugby thing. I don't know. But yeah, she drops a hockey stick and all and goes over to see him. And there's enough time in the game that she can just drop out and go to talk to him. And then she knows that it's curtains. So that prompts her then to, she throws a fit, she's angry. And this is where we get the reveal that the coach, Mrs. Fincher, she's a witch. She brings her, makes a bargain to her that she will cure her father if she has a baby for him. And it's all around that, she's just turning 16. I think they might have done that in film to make it legal, if that makes sense. Even though, you don't see anything, but what I'm saying is they have to kind of make it, as you turn 16, all that kind of stuff. But basically, she wants her to get knocked up. An interesting thing about this is they use centipedes as familiars. Now, I know any animal could be a familiar or a demon, whatever your choice is. Centipedes is a new one. What I mean by a new one is we've seen insects, obviously. We've seen horror movies and use insects, scary, woogie, woogie. But actually using the centipedes as intelligent creatures that are enacting the will, it's really well done and very clever. It makes a change from the usual, just a black cat sitting in the corner going, rawr, okay, right, blah, blah, blah. No, they use the centipedes in a smart way. There's a wee bit of ropey CGI in this, but you can kind of forgive it because it's not overused. So we can let that one go. Thankfully, they intersperse it with like proper. Oh, I am so sorry. I am yawning like crazy. Thankfully, they intersperse it, like I said, with actual live footage of centipedes, so it works. What next? Yeah, I suppose to keep this one short. It's your typical, make a deal with the devil betrays you sort of thing. So there's trickery afoot. So when you make the Faustian bargain, so to speak, it's not everything you expect. So yeah, they cure her father, but he's going to be the next sacrifice with her. So it's like, yeah, we'll cure him, but yeah, you just don't have time to get her. In fact, you put yourself in the game. The disappointing thing was, like I said, we get the mean girl stuff at the beginning. So that's usually the precursor to entice somebody into witchcraft, to want revenge, to move forward, and she's doing it out of love for her father. We then find out that the main antagonists, the mean girls, are part of this coven too, and it's all set up. And the teacher was encouraging it, you know, not a bit much. But yeah, for the most part, it was okay. You know, I mean, the rest of it's a cool story. The characters kind of make you forgive a lot of that sort of stuff. One thing I can't forgive though is the masks that were used. You got Coven members wearing these weird papier mâché masks, and it just looks terrible. They may as well just stood around in a circle. Would have made more sense. And then there's a scene later because when she gets pregnant, it's a bit like Rosemary's Baby. She's getting pregnant, but not by a human. You know, it's by a demon because uh, the guy who's interested in her gets ritualistically dispatched and then brought back to life because that's the way it works. God, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't want to overspoil this. It's not a massively complicated plot. Anyone that's watched anything to do with like deals with the devil or dealing with witchcraft, you kind of get the idea. It follows all the same beats. She has the baby in 6 weeks, and then it turns out the baby is the main sacrifice. So it's not like she's giving birth to a demon. Or the next comment, it's like or the Antichrist, if that makes sense. No, that's to be offered up to give the witches power. So there's a bit of back and forward. There's some good action scenes. There's some good horror scenes. They kind of keep it to the end. So there's not really much in the way of gore or not. But then once it gets to the sort of the end of this, it all kind of ramps up. The save of them, which is quite cool. What I will say, there's a scene at the end, and it's cheesy as hell, and it ruins the whole movie. If they cut that scene out, this would actually be a cool movie. Just cut out the last 2 minutes. If you watch this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Cut out that bit because there's no need for it. And this would actually be a tight drama with a horror overlay. And it'd be quite cool because they did break a lot of the normal rules, which is nice. It's boring when you go along the same sort of beats of the story. Now that's not saying, because you know my complaint about not everything needs to be reinvented. Use the rules of the creature. So you know what a witch is, you know what witchcraft is, you know what, once they declare what deity, what they're offering up to, you kind of have the rules in place. What makes it fresh then is the story around it. So I'm not saying that, but there were a lot of witchcraft movies are you could watch one, you've watched them all. This one slightly veers off a bit, so that's cool. But all in all, decent watch. It's not something to get super excited about. You know, it's a movie at the end of the day, but it's not one that you feel like you're wasting your time or you're just looking at the cheesiness. Anyway, it's a TV movie drama horror. That's it. So if you want something like that, just to while away a bit of time and just watch something different, know some half decent acting, because honestly the actors were like I said, they're dead on. You know what I mean? It's nothing worse than having a bunch of wooden planks going across the screen. These guys were all pretty decent. So you're not wasting your time checking them out. So if you do, I'll keep this one short because I don't want to go into like 100% spoilers and all that stuff. But yeah, it's worth a watch. Check it out. If you do watch it, let me know what you think. If you agree with my assessment, let me know. If you disagree after watching it, sure, we're going to have a chat about it. But till then, keep up to date with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. Until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.